we're starting to slowly transition into calling ourselves the House of Mimosa, which kind of is an umbrella for everything that we do. And any future projects that we may work on. And to make it clear to people that it's more than just this podcast, we're kind of leading towards this House of Mimosa as a take on the fashion, and you know, Lady Gaga has the House of Gaga, and so it's kind of, you know, we always are, as a comedy group, we're looking for that, like, you know, fun and funny thing in anything we do. So the House of Mimosa is our funny way of saying, you know, our group name.
The center part of our show are centered on two main characters, Anita and Buffum and Gina Maritelli, who are two older showgirls. 25 years ago started their career. Never really took off, but they think it sort of did, and now they're starting to come back and make everything work and try to be showgirls again.
We also have a lot of amazing people that work with us. We have Jen, who does a lot for us, and Joey, who does a lot of our costumes, and Nick, who is our choreographer. And then can't forget the other people that actually work on stage with us, Cassie and Laura, who plays my daughter, actually. Jean Marie's kind of like that, kind of a little bit like myself, but like put to the 10th degree, you know? She's kind of based off of a lot of women that I know in my own life, like my mother, my grandmother, my aunt. But when I bring it to like that showgirl dynamic, I kind of have this idea that she's kind of this crazy mix between Peggy Bundy, Joy Behar, Bette Midler, and like Liza Minnelli. If you can picture that crazy combo of women in one person. But she's kind of that.
4 or 5 years ago, whenever we started this, we started literally in Travis's apartment, sitting down in front of a computer. We both just wanted to do something creative and finding an outlet for that, and it ended up being podcasting. So we started that, just doing characters, both of us naturally having an affinity for comedy and that kind of stuff, just seeing what happened, talking. And our first podcast was like an hour long, and it was really boring, and I would never wish anybody to listen to the first one.
Joe and I were more of acquaintances when we started, and since then our friendship has really grown. And a friend of mine was like, oh, you and Joe would be perfect together to record this podcast, which I think we're such a great team because, you know, in comedy you have the straight man and the, what's it called, I forget, but like the zany one, you know? So so I think we pair up really well like that. And then Steven, a friend of mine, would come and appear on the podcast every once in a while.
And then I was away. I went to school for musical theater at the American Musical Dramatic Academy in the city, and I started doing tours and was away for a while. And then I came back and then started to become more a part of Sunday Morning Mimosa. And that's how the characters of Gina and Anita were created.
We were like, let's imitate the women in our family. And so we pulled from our family experiences of the women in our family, and then I was like, well, these characters should be on the podcast because they're hysterical. So we put them on the podcast, and that's really when the podcast started to become more about characters, and we started doing all these different voices. And although the podcast is only audio, we have all these other characters that we do on there.
And then when we tried to bring it to the live stage, we incorporated music, which brought it into another level. And so now I think it's basically like musical theater improv, basically, is the style that it's become. You know, we take known songs and we recreate them, and, you know, in our own way to fit a storyline that can kind of be over the top and crazy, but it all works.
We usually choose music first, and anytime we're out together or anytime music is playing, and as a group, or if I'm with Joe or with Steven and we're all together and we hear something, we're like, oh my god, this would be perfect for this character. So we're always like banking in our head like these songs that we could turn into parodies that would fit storylines. You know, we're always talking about where we want to take the characters, and you know, if we were to flash back where the characters would have been and how we want to tell those stories. So it's just a matter of making, you know, a marriage of the two, the music that we really want to perform, because that's, you know, my first love is music and singing, and Steven's just so talented vocally, and so for us it's really about the music and the comedy, and then, you know, a marriage of that.
My role, I feel like, on any show day or any day is to make sure that they don't have to worry about anything except preparing for the show, because they have to sing, they have to remember all the lines, they have to do a lot, the bulk of the show work. So my job is to make sure that they're not worried about that stuff. So when we get to the venue, or even before, their mind can be sort of clear. They're getting ready, they're doing makeup, hair, and I'm setting everything up.
I feel like with Steven, he comes from a very a background where he knows scripts and, he knows his lines and he goes with that and he's great right from the thing. And I feel like for me, because I come from a more like improv and I guess less trained background, for me, and looking at the whole big picture, I like to feel like I can grow with it. So it's like, okay, I know that everyone knows what they're doing now, so now I can work on what Anita as a character may be doing, and rather than just spewing out the information, I can now work on it. So like it may be in just like a little bit of a walk, or how a line is delivered, or a look on my face. So I feel like I love the improv part of it, because I feel like it can always be changing, and you can come to all of our shows and there's going to be something different every time.
We retweak things and go over dialogue and banter and this and that and songs and scenes and stuff like that before the day of the show. Just to make sure that each show is the best it could be, The
thing that's so great about our group is that we're all willing to go outside of our normal talents, just because we love what we do so much and we want it to be the best. So we're always like, okay, you know what, that choreography is great, but what if you do this here or that here? Or, that line is great, but what if you say it like this? So, and that could come from a costumer, that could come from, one of the weekly places that we're at that someone sees us all the time, so we're always as a group looking to hear what other people have to say and take it into account, because I think if you cut yourself off to that, then you cut yourself off to growing.
I haven't seen anybody do exactly what we do, and we walk the fine line between drag and, I mean, it is drag. They're definitely men who dress as women, but they're not. It's not a drag show by any means.
We really focus on the comedy and the music. Vocally, we sing live, and I think we're pretty good, if I do say so myself. Steven's amazing, and we have Pam now who sings, and Tina Marie, who's played by Laura, is just an amazing actress. So we have tons of talent behind the great writing that we do and the great improv, and now we have these great costumes, and I think that's where the drag part comes in, and we love good drag performances. We tend to focus more on the comedy and the music first. We
come from actors and comedians trying to portray characters that just happen to be women. I mean, and it's not like it started with us performing in drag and then deciding, well, then we're gonna want to just create acting scenes to go along with that. We actually started, in radio and, as a podcast, and had storyline and characters that were already developed, and then we were just like, how can we do this live? So let's just do it in drag, because, how else can we do it?
We just recently won the Heritage of Pride 2010 Pride Rally Star Award for Best Pride Performance of 2010, which is huge for us, and it was great because I remember the year before we were walking around Pride weekend here in the city, which is huge, and there's performances all over. And we were walking in the West Village somewhere, a meatpacking district. And those streets are like really tiny, and they all look like alleys, right? And I remember there was a performance on this small stage, and I said, next year we're gonna do something like that. Next year they're gonna come to us, they're gonna want us. Well, this year it was like we got asked to perform at Central Park on Central Park Summer Stage for Pride. And it's huge. Like, I mean, this is where like big artists come to do concerts.
For me, it was a huge stepping stone, and being a gay male, like, I just felt, wow, what an accomplishment to be received like that in this kind of venue in Central Park in New York City for something that was huge for us. So for me, that was the icing on the cake.
I think if you've never seen us before, you don't know what you're missing. I think the love and light and positivity that we project through our shows and through the characters is worth the price of a drink, which is what we charge for tickets. And it's just such a good time. And not only is it just all about fun and silliness and ridiculousness, I don't think there's anything that makes anyone feel like uncomfortable. And any of the humor that we may come up with that is adult is done in innuendo. And so we're trying to remain as open as possible so that anyone can come and enjoy us.
I think that what we do is so genuine and so to the heart that anybody would love what we do. It embraces all different kinds of culture. I mean, it kind of makes you see how stupid people really are in life, kind of like that All in the Family kind of dynamic.
What's grown since we've really started doing it live is this amazing community of fans, of people that we know, but also that people that come to see our show, and then they get to know each other that didn't know each other before, and just coming and having fun and making it a big night out.
It really there are times where I think about it and it just brings me to tears. I can't even believe we have this following and the support that just, no matter what, they love what we do, and they're there and they're supporting us and they know all the stories, and they're really why we're like so successful, and it blows my mind. And I really feel like this is, if we can do anything, it's to make people feel like they can do anything they want, and I myself come from, a single parent home and grew up with not anything handed to me. And, I want people to know that you can do anything you put your mind to. And I hope that people can see that in what we're doing. And we'll be walking to the theater in Union Square and we'll look at each other like, I cannot believe we're putting on our own production in New York City, in Union Square, in an off-Broadway theater house. I think the future for Sunday Morning Mimosa is big. I think that anything that we want to do, I think that we can do it. Eventually I think we'd really love to be on TV, tour. I think Sunday Morning Mimosa, the ultimate goal for us is kind of like a mesh of the television show The Office and Glee. We've got all these other ideas, and maybe I shouldn't say that, but counting my eggs before they hatch. But, we love the idea of like a fake reality show about Anita and Gina, and Sunday Morning Mimosa as a television show, and all the cast of characters that we play on the podcast, bringing them to life on film. So I think that's where we're all at. That's the ultimate goal, and I think it's not too far off.